Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Zaji, and today I want to share with you a little bit about some knitting things. In particular, we're getting into the third knitting podcast that I'm putting up on this channel. There are knitting podcasts 1 and 2. If you have missed those, I will have them linked up above for you and also down below, as well as any other things I mentioned in this video that I can link down below for you. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some yarn stuff today, so if you would like to keep chatting with me, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss any uploads from me. Alright, so let's get started with the finished object that I'm wearing, which is what I'm wearing and the finished object of the video. I've been going strong with this finished object for each video roll. I don't know how long I'm going to be on this roll, but I'm pretty excited about having something finished to share with you each time. So here we are, the third finished object of the podcast. This is Endless Possibility Sweater. This is a pattern from Drops Design. It is free. I will have it linked down below for you. And yeah, check out Drops if you haven't before. They have a million patterns. Not a million, but it's thousands of patterns. And there is definitely no shortage of anything you could possibly be looking for. Bags, hats, sweaters, shoes, pants, baby stuff, baby accessories, houseware stuff. They've got all kinds of things on there. So I just recommend you give it a look if you haven't checked them out before, because they have a million different languages, as well as I said, a million different kinds of patterns. Anyways, I get on there and can get lost. Someone like me who is addicted to patterns can get lost on the Drops website. Okay, anyways. But this design is one that came out, I want to say last year. And when I saw it, I knew I wanted it, but I made several changes to this pattern for it to look a little bit more closely to what I had in mind. So obviously, patterns are kind of like a starting place, and I've learned that sometimes just tweaking a pattern ever so slightly can really change how much you love to wear that piece. And so for me, I was really looking for a tighter fitting sweater. So I sized down my sweater by 1 size. I should be a size medium, and I went with the size small for this design. Another thing that I changed about this pattern was that I did a double neck edge instead of doing a hemmed neck edge. So they did want you to knit this collar and at the end fold it over and sew it down. I knew that I was not going to be patient enough to hem it down in a way that would make it as elastic as I like for my neckbands to really be. So what I did was I cast on with a provisional cast on, and once I got to the end of the kind of neck area, I took the cast on edge and the place where I was already working at, and when you start working the body and stockinette from the ribbing, and I went ahead and knit the provisional cast on and the like row that I was already working on at the same time on the needle. So it just combined them together into one stitch. So it's a little bit like a 3-needle bind off. I will put a video down below that I used, as well as any pictures that I have on here to kind of help visualize that, because I'm probably not explaining that very well, but anyways, I use that, which is different from the pattern, but it makes this edge super elastic. I mean, I've got stretch, and the recovery is amazing. It just comes right back. I love that finish so much more than I would have had hemming it myself, because I just am not a very good knitwear hemmer, okay? So I did that instead, and then I also chose to leave all of the increases because they use yarn over increases on this yoke, and I chose to leave them all open just to make this top look a little bit more delicate, because the actual sample that I saw, or that you see on the pattern, is a lot more oversized. It probably has close to 3 inches of ease in the sweater, so it's a lot bigger. This is basically zero ease. So I knew it was going to look a lot cuter if I had something a little bit more dainty to kind of lighten this otherwise more heavy duty sweater. Anyways, love that effect. I did the yoke as designed. I love this yoke. I think it is so pretty. I cannot even, like, I could just stare at it forever. It's so pretty. The yarn that I used is variegated to be stripes like this kind of painted stripey effect. So that was not color work on my end, just how the yarn kind of came about, or I guess knit up so beautifully. I love all the colors here. It's just so peaceful and soothing to look at. It just reminds me of a beach. I think the color is actually called something Danish. I can't remember. Danish Delight or something. So it's supposed to be like some sort of pastry, but it looks real beachy to me. So I love these colors. I was able to make the sleeves pretty even. They're similar enough that it's not striking that they are not 100% the same, but love it. Love this design. It's super, super soft and like snuggly. And I wore it this morning to go and drop my daughter off at preschool, and it was 50 degrees this morning, 48. It was like 50 by the time I had gotten home, but it was super cool outside in the mountains. So we are definitely in fall, and I think this sweater was perfect. I just wore it with some jeans today, and it was just enough for me to be able to go and, you know, run that errand and come back. And it was awesome. I love it. I'm so excited to have this. Every time I have a new sweater, it just makes me so happy. So of course I've gotten really excited about other sweaters. But I'm going to share with you my works in progress at this point. And I think it's also going to be kind of like a swatch talk as well. Because I've only worked on one thing because, well, like, worked on one work in progress because I did go and get my hand tattooed last Sunday. So I was not able to really do a lot while, one, I had tons of Aquaphor on it, but I didn't want to get that all over my yarn, and also you want to just not be moving your hands around so much after you get your hand tattooed. It's just a little bit sore. Just a little bit sore. So I've only worked on one thing, which was what I was working on before I went to go and get my hand done. Okay, so this is so exciting. Okay, so I know I talked about how I was just chomping at the bit to get this neck on. Okay, so let me backtrack and say what I'm working on. So this is the turtleneck poncho, and I'll put all the information up because I can't remember. I know it's Irina, but I don't remember her last name, is the pattern designer. So this pattern is so stunning. I love the texture. I've been working on it happily because it is a really easy repeat, and it's really nice to work at my bedside. So I've been working on this on my bedside. So this is the back that I've got done, and it's knit from the back to the front. So I'm about a third of the way, I'd say, through the front, and I'm very pleased. I finally worked it up enough to put this turtleneck on, and I'm very, very pleased. So I use Sedona Hello Gorgeous yarn from Red Heart. I don't think that they have this color anymore. I've looked online, so I have linked some similar ones because I do like just the variegation of this yarn, and I wish they would bring it back because it's so beautiful. Okay, so you can see all of these colors are so beautiful. I think they look beautifully combined with the texture and color of this sweater so far, or of this poncho so far. So beautiful. I could not have picked a better match, honestly. I'm very, very pleased with how these look together. I also really like the garter rib because I was expecting that because this yarn is quite variegated and quite busy that you wouldn't be able to see the texture as well, but you definitely can still see that there is something a little bit fun and special about this ribbing. Not that I think my daughter will really care or even mind, but I really do like these two together. And as I mentioned, the the pattern is worked from the back to the front. So I'm thinking that as soon as I get to a point to where I can actually do like the ribbing for the sleeve, that I'll go ahead and do that on at least one side, because I'm really excited to see what the armhole will look like. So I'm kind of just working this pattern all over the place, but it's just so fun. And I think that the more that I work on it, the more I love this textured stitch that they have on here. It's kind of like a twist. So it's almost like doing, like, I guess they are just called twists, but they're just repetitive over and over again, and I really like doing those. I know Kim Hargreaves uses those a lot in her really textural pieces, so happy that I got a whole sweater of it, or a whole poncho of it. So Nala's really getting excited because I let her try this on now that it has a neckband. So she saw it and she's excited because she loves orange and she really wanted to have this yarn too. So that sweetens the deal a lot more as well, but I'm making good progress here. I'm loving how that's coming along. I have a pretty good amount of the ball that I was working on at first left, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to use all of this up and just a touch of the other ball that I bought. So I'll still have quite a bit of yarn, orange yarn left over to make her some other kind of accessories to go with these sorts of things. So we'll see. I think it'll be a really cute like pair of Fair Isle mittens to have like this design, or this yarn with this orange again as like some cute little mittens with like maybe, I don't know, some type of Fair Isle motif. I'll look into it some more, but that book, the book that I got this from, has a pattern actually that comes to mind. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, yeah. Ooh, even this heart hat. So they have like a hat pattern in here that I think would be super cute, with maybe having the hearts be orange and the rest be that kind of multicolored Hello Gorgeous yarn, or even the mittens that they have in here. And maybe doing like orange for the tip, and then this part be the multicolored yarn. It really just depends on how much I need of that multicolored yarn, because I don't have very much of it left over, but I think it did have 5 ounces of yarn to begin with, so I should have a pretty good amount to make at least some sort of accessory for her with it, with the same orange and this color mixed again. I don't know. Let me know what you think, the hat or the mittens. And if I can do both, how cute would that be? Okay. Okay, getting really excited. But yeah, love how that's going along, and I really like the combination of those 2 yarns. So that's the only work in progress that I really have to share about right now. But I do want to talk about, now this is going to be all just like some knit plans, because I did do one swatch recently. So it's going to be for the Lazurite cardigan, which I did talk about in my last podcast that I wanted to make it, and I shared the yarns with you. And so I finally have made up a swatch. I did go through a couple of needles. So I'm using Red Heart yarn to, or not Red Heart. Yeah, it is. I'm using Red Heart Super Saver in the Cafe color. No, Cafe Latte color. And I'm also using Twinkle yarn from Joann in the silver color. So I did make up a swatch. Oh my god. And it sparkles just enough. So I love this effect so much. And what I was saying before is that for the pattern, it's written to where every single stitch has the shininess through it. But I'm using just one yarn that has its own strand of like shine running through it, instead of holding a separate strand of DMC Diamante. I went ahead and made up this swatch because I hadn't completely ruled out the thought of doing it that way. But now that I see how beautiful the silver shines in contrast to the latte color, I just think that is so beautiful and stunning. And like, just having that little bit of sparkle just there, I feel like makes it look a little bit more special. I don't know. I really like it together. I think it would be beautiful with every stitch, but in my mind, the way I pictured this pattern before I realized that they had it on every single one, I had already pictured it with it just having the shine with the Fair Isle pattern. So the back of this cardigan is actually completely in the Cafe Latte color. So they have you swatch on the same size needle for just plain stockinette in the main color, which for me is the Cafe Latte color, and also you would swatch for the pattern, because theoretically you would be working with 4 strands making this, because you would have the gray color, the brown color, and then you would have, I would say that you would have 1 reel of the diamante thread for each color, because you are having to work them. But maybe you don't have to. You could probably get away with just 1 reel at a time. So 3 strands. But now I'm only working with 2 because my Twinkle yarn is already very shiny. So I don't have to add anything in there. And I just thought it'd be a lot easier working Fair Isle, especially working Fair Isle front and back instead, or back and forth, instead of working it in the round. So my tension wasn't great at all during this swatch. I haven't blocked this yet. It's not like this will really matter, because this is a much smaller scale, and also I was using the wrong needle size for a lot of this swatch. So up until the first safety pin here that I have marked, I was using size 10.5 because I'm crazy. I don't know. Well, normally I know I have to move 2 needle size. It's either up or down with Rowan patterns. I never get gauge right away with the needle that they recommend. So I started with actually a size 8, which was the cast on, and I was like, that looks huge. So I ended up moving up. Silly, very silly to move up. So I have a garter ridge, and then I moved up to a 10. A US 10, and then I moved down to a US 7 because I finally got it. Okay, yeah, now I need to fix my swatch the right way. So I moved down to a US 7, and I was getting pretty close, but I knew that wasn't it. I was getting like 4.75 stitches per inch, and I was getting 4.25 stitches per inch, and I needed 4.75 stitches per inch, and I was like, wow. All right, let's keep going. So I went ahead and went down to US 6, and I finally got gauge. Right up at the top is really the true gauge. So the pattern, it looks quite strange because I did restart from here to here, and I was doing some randomness in here when I didn't know which needle I was going with, but I went ahead and started following the pattern more closely once I finally got to a needle that I could see was going to be the right gauge. Amazing. So I haven't blocked this, but I'm fairly confident that the size 6 is what I need, because even when you do block acrylic yarns like this, they don't tend to change too much in gauge. They might relax a slight bit, but I'm fine with whatever it relaxes because it's not going to stretch out that much. I mean, it's plastic. Come on now. Come on. But anyways, I'm fairly confident with this swatch, so I am going to be casting on this sweater pretty soon. And I think it's going to be so beautiful. Like, I am obsessed with the contrast of the warm cafe color and like this sparkly silver, like just, oh my god, I love that. I think it's going to be stunning. On Ravelry, I already saw that someone used this design but made a cowl instead of the sweater, and I was like, wow, that is stunning. But even on Rowan's website right now, you can't even get the Bittersweet Kid Classic yarn. It's all sold out, because I was like, oh, well, I know I'm going to love this design so much. Maybe I'll get some Kid Classic and make it again and just not do the sparkly aspect. Just have this same sweater, but just a different color scheme. I was actually thinking of doing something pink, but I saw that they don't even have the Bittersweet, which is the brown you're supposed to use in the pattern. And I was like, well, that sucks. If I did want to make this, it was sold out. I know that my local yarn store, Lamb Spun, that they are supposed to get Kid Classic in. And I was thinking like, okay, well, maybe I'll put in an order with them from Rowan. And I was just like, that's a lot of stress. I'm just going to keep using my Red Heart, and I'll get Kid Classic another time, because I am also looking at a different sweater that uses it. So we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. just the sparkle with it being a little bit out of focus is just enough, and it's so much easier. Working this pattern front and back though, I am not used to doing Fair Isle front and back, and I am not super confident in my abilities, but I'm still gonna go for it because I do love working Fair Isle, and I think it's just something I have to really get used to. I'm only going to work on one front panel at a time. I was going to work them 2 at a time, but trying to manage 4 balls of yarn, and these are pretty big balls of yarn, is pretty daunting. So I think I'm just going to do 1 at a time so that I can focus on my gauge a lot more and make sure that I am not getting poor gauge because my yarn's all tangled up and yada yada. So one thing that I'm pretty sure that I've mentioned in almost every single video on my channel, regardless of whether it's a knitting podcast, is how much I love knitting Kim Hargreaves patterns. Now I have lots and lots and lots of books from Kim, and I've made, let's see, so I've finished 1 of her patterns, and I currently have 3 more of her designs that are works in progress that I do hope to pick up very soon and continue working on. But I was working on a lot of Kim Hargreaves before I had surgery on my hand. I was still knitting even before I had my hand surgery, and it was very painful and very uncomfortable. And so I feel a lot of anxiety about those projects, but I have been slowly continuing to work through them. And I have started one project since that I did manage to work very closely with, but it's hard. But I'm getting around to it. So I'm getting back into Kim's patterns. And the reason why is because I love Kim's designs because she has loads of detail and a lot of texture. I really love the textures that she creates in her patterns. And another thing that I really love is the intricacy she has on certain details, and the way that there's always just something a little bit fun about the designs that I've worked up from her. And I know that for myself, they are quite intense. They're definitely not patterns that I'm able to work on in the car or something. They're definitely patterns that I have to be sitting down and being mindful of what I'm doing, because you know, there's like 7 cables in the one panel, plus twists and moss stitch, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. So you definitely are looking at like each one of her patterns that has the kind of texture I like. You have to use like 3 pages of printer paper to blow up the frickin' pattern piece to scale so that it's easy to work. I mean, my goodness, they're like 100 to 200 stitches per chart. Like a 200 stitch chart is insane to just try to work on in the car. Like what? How could I? Anyways, so I haven't had a lot of time to sit down and work with a chart because I've really just been working on a lot of knits that are easy to work on while doing other things. But I have been making it a point to spend time with my knitting in a way that's not just kind of background work, in a way that I can actually immerse myself into patterns that I love, which are the ones that are really intricate and have 200 stitch charts, because I don't know. But those are usually quite difficult because you are, you know, keeping up with a lot of things at one time, but it's not impossible, and I love working those. So I am going to actually work on a lot of those, but I did want to talk about a collection that she is releasing. It'll be tomorrow from when I'm filming this video, but I know that it's not, but I know that it will be out by the time this video is up. So I will have it linked down below if you're interested. I will be ordering mine as soon as the link goes live because I am obsessed with her design. So I'm going to share a couple of my favorites, because on Facebook, which is where I follow her because she doesn't have Instagram, and I just ask myself every day, like, why don't you have Instagram? Okay, anyways, I don't know. I couldn't answer that question for you. But let me go ahead and pull up these patterns, and I'm going to put them on the screen so that we can talk about them together, because I'm really excited. I used to do this part on Instagram, but I'm going to put it up here because Yeah, patterns are my life. So I want to put them on this podcast because I think it's a really great place for it to be at on my channel. So here we go. Obsessed with all these. So the pattern that she has on the cover of this book is called Randall. I don't know what any of the yarns are because the teasers that she has on here don't specify what yarns, but I'm pretty sure that you know, it won't really matter because I have something like it in my stash, or will buy something so I could make it. Anyways, we're going to move on from that fact. But the first pattern that I want to talk about is Randall, which is the one that's on the cover and the one that I think I'm probably the most excited about because it has everything that I've been looking for and wanting recently, which is this sort of cropped style. So it is kind of like a cropped length. It has extra long sleeves that are fold over and everything is knit in like a rib of some sort. I don't know if it's exactly a rib, but it just looks so squishy and like soft and beautiful, and it has a really high neck. So you could roll it down as a turtleneck too, but it does go all the way up to the chin, which is everything for me. So obsessed with this design. I could really see myself making it in a gray color like this, but if it is knit with like a level 5 weight yarn or a 5 weight yarn, then I already have a really fuzzy yarn that I got from Bernat, which was like supposed to be one sweater in a ball, like you only would need one ball. So I might try to make that work because it's quite fuzzy like the yarn that she's used, but oh, so pretty. She also has a pattern called Miss Johnson, and I saw that and I was like, oh my god, yes, Miss Johnson, get into my cart. Now I know that this fuzzy yarn is something that I'm just obsessed with, just seeing how fuzzy the sweater looks, but even in a yarn that's not as fuzzy and has as much of a halo as this yarn does have, I still think this would be really beautiful. I'm not sure what weight it is. It looks like it might be DK, but it could also be fingering held with a like one strand of a color. I'm not sure. I don't know. Just speculating because as I said, she hasn't actually released what yarns these are, but oh my goodness, it looks like it's a color work fade design. So I am very interested to see what method she uses to do this kind of ombre fade look because I want to be a part of it. I know that in the past she's done some kind of ombres where she's using two strands of Kid Silk Haze, and she has like, I'm trying to think. I think it was in her Pale book, and I can't remember the name of the design, but it was so beautiful as well, and I've always wanted to make that design up, and I'm still thinking about it. But anyways, this one I thought was so pretty. But getting into more kind of texture, I guess you would say, is Taylor. Now, I was obsessed with this pattern for a number of reasons. One, because the sleeve is humongous. Oh my god, just so beautifully huge. I really like the textures that she has on there. She has a really beautiful kind of crawling cable up the front, which has like moss stitch in it, and there's moss stitch all around, which is so fun to knit. And it has a crop style as well. I really like Taylor. I think it's one of those designs that would just be so beautiful layered over a dress. She has it matched up with this kind of mini skirt that's got feathers, that feather boa kind of mini skirt situation. Super cute like that. But I could definitely see that being over a longer dress or just with jeans. Oh, so cute, and like some heel. Thank you, Taylor. She has another pattern on here which is also quite textured as well. It's called Royal, and it is another cropped style, but this one is a cardigan, which calls to me because I love a good cardigan. And I only ever want to make cardigans, and that's fine, okay? I like a good layering piece, but this one is really beautiful, and I'm actually really happy with the shade that of yarn that she's used with this pattern. And the dress that she has on underneath, the model that she has on, the dress that the model has on underneath this sweater is so beautiful. I think that the color made me kind of gasp, but also when I started looking at like the cute baubles mixed with the really big kind of twist cable. Just be, I like that design quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to having that pattern. She also has another pattern that I really liked the look of. It's called Sutton. I'm very southern, and so it sounds like I'm saying sudden, as in coming soon. Sutton is probably how you should say it. Anyways, I really like the look of this pattern. Like, I love the fringe that she has on the bottom. I think it's just like a long loop fringe situation, but it's so cute. And just like with the straight kind of swing style of this long line cardigan, I'd be interested to actually even making something this long. I don't particularly love long cardigans in general, but this kind of changes my mind. It comes just below the knee, which would be a really nice duster length, and I think would be really beautiful. Like, she has it over a mini dress, but it's also very cute. I could see like with jeans or something a little bit more casual as well. And the last design that I'm going to talk about in this video is Byron, which is the biggest hard eyes I think I have. And now I'm going to say this because I am obsessed with Argyle, and I never thought there would be a day where I would feel comfortable even looking at an Argyle design and saying that I would want to make it. But I am 100% confident that I'm going to give it my best go with this pattern, because I am really interested in making a cute vest like this one to wear in a similar fashion over a cute blouse with a pleated skirt. What? Okay, have my name on it from the beginning. But I love this design, and I like the colors that she's used and how it's styled. That's another huge thing for me with Kim Hargreaves. I feel like throughout the years, I've always looked at her magazines and just thought how they were styled were just so like me, so my style, so something I can actually see myself wearing, and I cannot say that for most knitting patterns. So I love the fact that her designs are really designed more as like a fashion piece as opposed to like something that is like a necessity piece, if that makes sense. I don't know if that does make sense. Let me know. But anyways, that's going to be the end of the video today. I did just want to keep this one short and sweet. As I mentioned, I didn't work on much because I was a little bit impaired, but I am excited to share the progress that I have made and this new sweater with you all. So let me know down below what you're knitting on, what you're making on. If you are interested in getting that Kim Hargreaves book, as I mentioned, I'll have it linked down below. Because I'm positive it will be released by the time you see this video. And yeah, that's gonna be the end for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.